Welcome to this episode of Locked In. In this video, I'm going to be doing my review of the WTB Venture 700x50C gravel tire. If you're looking for a large volume tire to put on your gravel bike, or drop bar mountain bike, or cyclocross frame, if it clears it, please stay tuned. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the tire itself, the features that it has, price, who I think this tire is good for, and my final thoughts. So let's break into the features of this tire. This is a 700C by 50C tire that I am reviewing, but they do offer this in a 40C as well if your frame doesn't clear a 50. They do offer it in a black and a tan wall version. And I do have a review of the 650 by 47 version of this tire, links in the description as well, but don't think they are exactly the same because they actually do ride pretty differently, and I'll explain why later. This tire they marketed as designed for pavement, hard pack, gravel, and general loose terrain. This tire, if you look at the structure of it, is actually a very unique design that I've seen in anywhere else in the market. It has what I like to call these little micro blades that are basically set on the tire to continually looking for grip. If you run your finger across them, they actually kind of manipulate and move a lot easier than you'd expect instead of being a firm rubber piece. This allows you to get a lot of grip in scenarios you might not think you'll be able to, and you can see it's got a nice tight center section to increase rolling resistance, one either pumped up fully or riding on the road or both, as well as you do see a more aggressive shoulder knob, so when you do lean the tire over, it's going to tend to hook more than let loose and have you slide out. And it is a tubeless compatible tire. I've loved all WTB tires I've set up. They set up very easily, so if you're new to tubeless, this is a very easy tire to set up initially without having to worry about it causing you a bunch of trouble. As far as the weight goes, in the 700x50, it is claimed in the tan wall at 600 grams. Mine weighed a little bit more than that, as you can see here on the scale. The black versions of these tires tend to weigh a little bit more, I'm assuming because of the side wall compound is different between the tan wall and the black wall, so keep that in mind. You will add a little bit of weight if you want to do the other color option in either size. Now let's get into price. These retail currently at $59.95. They do only offer one casing size, so unlike other brands, they don't have multiple different options as far as to increase the price of the tire or offer it any more endurance or a lightweight casing. But in my experience, I've always had good luck with WTB tires as far as flats go or getting any cuts. Now let's get down to who I think this tire is for. This is going to be somebody who wants a kind of what I like to call a Goldilocks tire. I mean, it's just right. Meaning that depending on what you're doing, this is kind of the tire that's going to basically cover most bases unless you know your territory and it's really muddy or really slimy or snowing. But I've ridden this tire in those conditions, granted, but if you're looking for a tire that's basically going to cover all your bases as far as depending no matter how much road or mixed conditions you're going to see, this tire is going to be surprisingly good. And there is benefits in it running the 700 version versus the 650, which I'll get into in a moment. So if you're looking for a tire that you don't really have to think about, and you know the terrain isn't super crazy, gnarly, or wet, or loose, I think this is going to be an amazing tire that you're really going to like. I've ridden this in multiple conditions, as I mentioned, and it does really hook well at the limit when you're cornering, as well as roll pretty well on the flats. The big difference between the 650 and this one is really in the rolling resistance, which is due to the difference in the size of the wheel and overall diameter. But what I really noticed characteristic-wise between the two is the 700x50 version does barrel over things better. Because you have a larger diameter, it's going to roll through potholes or whoops a lot easier to where you're almost going to float along them a little bit better. It does carry speed downhill a little bit better, as well as on the flats. I felt like I didn't have to push as hard to maintain the speed that I was at. So I really like that about this tire compared to the 650. The only time I did notice a difference was initial turn-in on some more technical riding. This is obviously a bigger diameter tire, so it's going to take a little bit more work and thought of line choice compared to the 650 version. But if you're looking for something higher volume and a little bit better rolling, I would definitely look at the 700C version of the WTB Venture. Now let's wrap into my final thoughts. There is pros and cons to running this kind of big of a tire. It essentially is a 29 by about a 1.9, 1.95. So there are very few frames out there currently that are gravel frames even that clear that big of a tire. So keep in mind that the 40C tire is definitely going to be the safe bet for your cross or gravel bike. If your frame does clear it like my Cobalt Warhawk, you can run this 50C size tire, which is a lot of volume and does feel really big. The downsides are going to be the overall weight is going to be slightly noticeable, especially on climbs. Also, you have to keep in mind that depending on your frame design and everything, toe overlap, because you're going so big, can be an issue if the frame's not really designed to run that big of a tire. But really, those are the two main negatives that I see running this big. But the pros, I think, outweigh the cons because you are going to get so much more volume out of that, where you're going to get basically that 650B sidewall feel as far as the amount of cushion you're going to get on the ride. but you're gonna get that speed of rolling to 700. So I think it's a really happy medium. Again, the Goldilocks tire and setup between the two. So I hope you guys like this review. If you have any questions, please make sure to comment below. I love hearing you guys' comments if you have any questions or if you've ridden the tire. Now, if you like this review, please make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on. I will be adding a playlist below of all the WTB reviews I've done, so if you're interested to see maybe a different tire from them is better for you, please make sure to check that out. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, links are in the description below as well. And thanks for watching another episode of Locked In.
Let's get locked in.